morning, my friends. I'm doing it a second time for the YouTube audience. Right, cameraman D?
Indeed.
Good morning, good morning. I hope you all are having a wonderful Saturday thus far. Goodness gracious, for our friends in Europe, it's like evening. For some people, it's like middle of the night.
That is true.
Yes,
that is
you're
true.
Too far over there.
Yes.
So, Camera Mendy, you were being kind of snarky to poor Adam this morning.
I was.
Camera Mendy.
You know what? We were both married to very accommodating, wonderful.
You and I both?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like Miss Goo and Adam have very similar personality types in terms of that they can put up with our type A personalities and they're just
type C, Mendy.
What's a type C personality?
Crazy.
Yes. That's fair.
Yes.
Fair.
Type A is intense.
Yes.
Type B is kind of cool and mellow. Type C is off the chain.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Anyway, but yes, that is why. So I like.
How come you never show yourself, cameraman, until I tell you? And how come this has been pasted here for some time?
What is it?
And I'm not sure why it has been pasted here.
What is it?
It is this.
I wonder why it's been pasted there. I wonder who pasted it there to begin with.
I don't know who pasted it there.
I wonder who has come to our office several times and has a thing about snails.
Yeah, whatever.
And usurping you.
Yes, there's always people trying to take over.
Yeah. Anyway, your shirt's showing again.
Damn it.
You look rugged this morning.
I don't.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, sir.
Shiny, squeaky.
Let me just say this.
Yes.
So, 20th anniversary of Pride and Prejudice. The movie, not the
night.
TV show. Yes, I did. And there is a scene with Mr. Darcy, and he has taken off his cravat, and his shirt is unbuttoned, and he walks down this hill while the sunrise is coming up behind him, and it's the scene. It's the scene, and it's just a thing of beauty. So I'm just saying, if you want to make Miss Goo swoon, you completely unbutton that thing, and then you walk down a hill very dramatically with the sun rising behind you and really dramatic music come in. Anyway, all that to say,
I can play that out of my phone.
The Pride and Prejudice has been re-released in theaters for the 20th anniversary, and if you
does everyone even know what Pride and Prejudice is?
How would someone not know what Pride and Prejudice is?
Okay, Chad, tell the truth. If you don't know what Pride and Prejudice is, just say I don't know.
If you don't know what the hand flex is, that's a better question.
The hand flex?
The hand flex.
That sounds dirty, cameraman.
So there's a scene. I know no one tuned in here to hear about Pride and Prejudice.
No,
so
gracious.
Anyway, we'll just Google hand flex and you'll know.
Now listen. In fairness, though, Pride and Prejudice is a magnificent novel. And of course, a magnificent movie that was made from
it. Has inspired the whole enemies to lovers thing. For generations of women. I'm just saying, it was not appreciated in its time.
So are you saying that you were an enemy of Adam before he became his lover?
No. This is a book thing. I'm not sure enemies to lovers works in real life. In fiction, it's amazing because you got that tension going. But in real life, I don't know if anyone ever married their enemy and it's worked out well for you. Please let me know. I'd be very curious.
Typically that would be coerced, Camera Mendy. But that's a different thing. Let's not get into that.
Anyway.
Fortunately, we're past that period in our history.
All this to say, good morning, everyone.
We'll
be talking about D&D here.
I was driving in this morning listening to the score with Edmund Stone, as you know I always do, right? And the music that was playing was from the movie Babe. Do you remember the movie Babe?
Oh, I loved the movie Babe when I was a little girl.
Yes. And at the end he says, "That'll do, pig. That'll do."
So Harry says the real question for the chat is how many people have read Pride and Prejudice? And I have not only read it 5 or 6 times, I also read these really terrible fan fiction books that got published after. Because now, this is interesting because Pride and Prejudice is in the public domain. Yes. And so is Sherlock. And so is a number of really classic stuff. Mm-hmm. So people are allowed to go publish, their own
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, or their own Jane Austen or their own, I'm sure there's a million other ones out there that expand out the stories and stuff like that.
I wonder, let me think about this. I wonder if Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot is potentially even there.
I don't know.
One of my favorite detectives of all time, little fat Frenchman that he was. Twirling his little moustache.
Anyway.
I am Hercule Poirot, and I am here today to evaluate these circumstances. Anyway, We'll go on.
Oh, Dennis says Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Now, that was an interesting spinoff.
I don't know that I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
There was Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies?
Yeah, so this one, and it got made into a movie, too.
What?
I'm not kidding you.
I'm sure it was a B movie.
It was not great, I'll be honest with you. But it was like during that Walking Dead phase when like things were
there was zombies everywhere.
Yeah, no, seriously. And I mean it's basically they take the heroines of Pride and Prejudice and make them like zombie killing machines.
Oh, it's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy's vampires, that's different. How dare you? No. Different kind of undead.
Well, cameraman.
I'm just kidding.
There's an occasional killing vampires, killing zombies, right?
There's an occasional. I'm sorry, no one tuned in for this.
It's true.
Anyway,
I do think actually sometimes people actually do tune in for this because they just want to see how off track we can actually go.
Well, this one was my fault. I will take the credit for this one. I'll take the credit for going down this path. Anyway.
So did you grab any of the cool social media? Some people put up some great things. I tagged you in a few things. I hope you got the tags.
I don't know that. I've been so on and off Facebook this week. I'm sorry. I've been busy with client work. So
yeah, so I've been showing some sections of the environs. And I think we've made our final decision. We are going to press. We had another move that we were going to make, and then we pulled back from that one because of something else that happened in terms of tariffs and other sorts of madness. And we have finally made our decision. So we are going to send files next week. We are going to print everything.
Isn't it nerve-wracking?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
No, it's horrible.
Because what if it changes? This is my thing. Like, what if we place the order and then it changes again?
So accordingly to the best people we have talked to, the hiatus of 90-day hiatus is real, and so we have the chance to kind of get in the window. It is going to cost us a lot more money, though, cameraman. But that is okay. That is all right. We will manage our way through it, and people will still get their stuff, and that's what we're going to do.
Awesome.
Because I have actually talked to some people who are really in bad shape. They literally have their stuff sitting in warehouses in China and can't bring it back to the United States because it would cost them so much. It would hurt their company so much that it would be in trouble. Fortunately, this is a side hustle, so we can influx a little money if we need to do so, versus some folks just don't have that luxury. So anyway, this is the Bourst, and the Bourst is actually on the East Fredestia map, right in the southern area of the environs of Geisengax, which is really the Barrowlands and other lands that are other territories that are around there. And the Bourst is this massive standing stones, this series of standing stones that have been dating back from a long time ago. And, you can see, if you look carefully at this, cameraman, because at first you don't realize it, but if you look carefully at it, look at the trees and then look at the tiny people that are walking.
Oh, the scale. Yeah.
Yes. This is massive. And Edvard did this artwork, and I just think it's magnificent. And there's a great tale around the Bourst and opportunities for people to interact with a couple of groups that are down there and that are kind of at odds. And it's got some potential for the future as well. So I put it up, and I think people have enjoyed that one. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Yes, Michelle I now have a little statue for my yard envy.
I think these are really cute.
Yeah,
I think they're really cute, and they feel like they would stand up pretty well to the elements.
Well, cameraman, of course, Ms. Goo and I have all those cool little wrought iron things in our yard that we like to have that folks appreciate. Little sayings on them, and stuff like that. And I think a dragon or two would be really, really fun. And I think Ms. Goo would give in. I think she would.
I think that she would.
Mm-hmm. I think she'd like it.
Okay, this was from Andy, and I do not understand any of it. I literally get none of it. So, anyway.
So, what was basically done here was the distribution based on advantage. Okay? So, if you have advantage...
Wait, is this also the same as this?
It's all part... excuse me, I'm incorrect. I apologize. I was on the wrong thing. Howard did the advantage thing. We'll go back to that. We need to have Howard on. But go back to the one that Andy does.
This was something about corruptic magic.
Yes, it was
corruptic mechanics.
Corruptic mechanics, and they were trying to figure out how they were going to do it, and they're actually applying mathematical principles. And so we'll see what they come up with. But it's pretty exciting to actually have somebody trying not to have it be OP, But Andy's very analytical, as we all know.
Well, that's why he's like. I mean, he doesn't like it when I call him this, but he's a rules lawyer.
Oh yeah, he is. Absolutely.
he's on retainer as the Gooey Cube rules lawyer.
Out of order. Out of order. See, cameraman, I can use this snail as a gavel.
I like that.
Yes. Out of order.
I like it. Okay. He's in the chat. He says, dice probability for rolls on a table.
Oh, it was, yeah, I thought it was. So it was probability. It was a probability.
Yeah, these are words that are beyond my comprehension, to be honest.
So in statistics, which I took many years ago,
yes.
and I applied much in my life because, of course, I was a direct marketing person.
Jay Ricky says, perhaps Alphinius and Mandy decided to skip the show and just drink this morning.
It's always an option.
I mean, Alphinius, you haven't that bottle has like not noticeably gone down.
Well, I know because I don't drink here at the office, cameraman. It'd get us fired. But
sorry,
anyway, yes,
in statistics, which you took many years ago.
Statistics, right? Mm-hmm. Probability, right? And the how many times will you get a roll and all of that kind of stuff. Because theoretically, it is impossible. As someone made a note that they rolled 3 1s in a row and they put that dice in jail, right?
I have a funny. Where does that funny?
But theoretically, you could roll 1,000. That's it, right? 1,000 dice. You could roll 1,000.
I'm on fire today with all these.
You're killing it.
These social media posts. So, what are you in for? 3 1s in a row. I tried to explain how randomness works, but I think they only spoke common.
Yeah.
And they're freaking cute dice. I'm just saying.
Yes, this was adorable.
Yes.
Jason put this up, but here's the thing: you theoretically could really roll 1,000 1s in a row. You really theoretically could do it, right? It is just. I don't know, somebody in the chat who wants to dig into it a little bit. I mean, it's got to be 1 trillion years or something like that. You have to roll for 1 trillion years or something to be able to do something like that. But theoretically, you could do it in probability because every time you roll, there's a 1 in 20 chance of rolling a 1. Does that make sense? So 1 in 20, the next roll is still 1 in 20. Right, but it continues to be, the odds continue to go down that you will actually roll that 1, even though each time you roll the 1. Anyway, I'm not a teacher of statistics, but I think I'm making sense. Anyway, adorable. Yes, let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's look at Howard's since we're talking math, because we got to get Howard back on here.
I have a few more.
Howard has not posted in years, and I was totally impressed that he put this video up, and you can look at this. How good is Advantage in D&D? So now you can understand it in terms of its modifier and all this stuff. This is definitely worth a watch. It was fun. It was interesting. And Howard, if you're watching, which I don't think you ever do, we love you, my man.
Oh, I see. So Jairiki says, because I read his comment earlier, perhaps Alphinius and Mandy decided to skip the show and just drink this morning. And then he just said, weird, I wasn't brought into the show. I had to refresh my browser to join. So I wonder if anyone else is. I don't know how to fix that. So on Twitch, sounds like a weird Twitch glitch.
Oh, really? Have we got any
glitch.
viewers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, if we don't have any viewers, I was going to say, let's go to have breakfast. Anyway, no, this is very cool. And if you didn't see it, it's in the Facebook. You should watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And that reminded me that I thought, doggone it, we got to bring Howard back on. That was one of our people love that show.
Okay.
Do you remember?
Yeah, we can bring Howard back
on.
For
those who don't know,
but the problem is that Howard needs to come out. We need to bring him on when he's here.
Can't we just do him on the zoomy thing, that you do with the?
I mean, you tell me. Howard does not seem the type to me who
do a zoomy.
So I'm just saying.
Well, I'll chat with him. I got to give him a call. I haven't talked to him in a while. Anyway,
okay.
So, all right, let's keep going.
This is arachnophobia horror show spoiler.
Can you
alert?
Can you imagine a BBEG?
I think you should do this sometime.
Now Andrea said that there was one of these written up, and I can't remember. She wrote it in the comments, Cameramendi. I can't remember where she said that this was kind of written up somewhere. Can you imagine, right? Not only you got to deal with the massive monster mama spider, right? But all of a sudden you're being accosted by, hundreds of little tiny, little tiny.
I genuinely,
spiders like the size of giant crabs.
Right? I love the idea of this thing rising out of the ground, and you see all these little beady eyes, and then you see the big bad boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mama.
Oh yeah.
Bad mama.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, in some adventure, this is one of those things I think you should actually use. I don't care if it's been written somewhere else, Yeah. This is nature. No, we're allowed to use our.
It's also just totally cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and what a great picture, it's, and who's going to eat the little babies? Nobody's eating those little babies.
What are you talking about?
This is protection, right? This is part of the deal. The mama's protecting the little babies.
Oh, yeah. No, I got you.
Right? So who's going to come on? Yeah, so let me have a bite of that little one there in the corner. Yeah, you're not going to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. Yes, and I put up for some reason I've been getting served, and it started obviously now that I've been sharing it, it's the algorithms pick that up. But originally I started getting served some Larry Elmore stuff and Jeff Easley stuffs and others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they started sparking my memory, right, of images that I've seen. And I happened to see this one most recently. This is the last one I posted up, which is really, really a magnificent work. I've a lot of folks liked it, and there's just so much wonderful art that has been done through the decades now that this magnificent game has been in play, and this is one of them. I mean, 50 years, right, Cameron Mendy? We just did the anniversary.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, we got to keep boogieing.
All right, you can talk about this one because I kind of laughed. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, when you die and the DM says, please don't make the same character again. Actually, this kind of ties into what we're going to talk about later. But I will say, so then it shows a halfling ranger with an owl companion, and then they make an Aarakocra knight with a halfling follower. Okay, so I did have this thought, too, that I want to discuss later that I forgot to message you about, is also if you create a character and you're playing that character and you're not as engaged as you should be, do you recommend rolling up a new character, or do you recommend trying to fix the character that you've already rolled to see if you can form a better connection with that character?
So for me, obviously some characters have inspired me more through the course of when I've had a chance to play, which I've not played as much nearly as I have Game Master. But when I've had a chance to play, probably, my most favorite character who actually appears in Gloomsport is Mathor McGillen. And Mathor McGillen and Beric Strongarm were pals, and they had a group of adventurers called the Wolf Pack, and a lot of things happened, and they bought a little bar in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord called the Baby Coracle Inn, which over time got expanded and became Strongarm McGillen's, which of course we then imported Strongarm McGillen's into Gloomsport. So probably my most favorite character. And I have to admit, there have been a couple of times where I rolled a character I thought was going to be really cool, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. So in those, I think there were two instances. In those two instances, we did have a dramatic death, prearranged dramatic death with the Game Master.
Okay. I see. Okay.
And I did something else.
So sometimes it's okay to just be like, hey, I'm just not connected here.
I think that's okay. What does the chat think?
I'm curious
what
too.
What are folks saying in the chat?
Yeah. So as a game master, the question is, would you prefer that a player try and fix a character that they're not connecting with, or would you prefer that they roll up a new character and start from scratch?
Yeah.
So
because it is not fun to play. If you thought you had a character that you're really going to enjoy and then you're not really enjoying it, it is hard to kind of muscle through, right?
My only thing as a game master that I think would really be difficult is if you've tied certain elements of the story into the character.
I did take over a character one time as an NPC, not because someone wasn't enjoying their character, but because they left. They left the game. They had to move to another location. And so I did take over a character in that case because the character was pretty tied to the story. But then I began to massage the storyline as well to bring some of those elements to other characters who are playing around the table, because it's no fun for the NPC to have all the interesting stuff, right?
So Chet says either or. Andy says whatever makes it fun, and Harry says it depends on whether it's the character and story or a mechanical issue. Frank,
yes, I agree with that, Harry. That's a very good point. Because if a mechanical issue, you could fix that.
Yeah.
If it's the not connecting with the backstory, not feeling the character, not enjoying it, what's my motivation, right? You're not feeling that. That's a little harder to overcome. So
Frank says fix it if you can. Gladiator J72 says both work, but if it's not fun, redo. And Harry says I've let players rework their subclass spell choices, etc.
Yes. And you can do that as well, right? You can allow some pretty good latitude in terms of adjusting adjusting a character and all that stuff, especially if you have put a lot of effort in backstory. And we'll talk about that as we do this little presentation that I put together based on what you told me you wanted. So Camera Mandy is going to kind of lead this this character creation thing today, right, Camera Mandy?
Well, I am more of a player than you are.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Camera Mandy, you just said you were a player. Did I hope Adam's not watching?
Oh my god.
No wonder he's upset with you today.
He's not upset with me at all. Okay, Comic Man 68 says, I'd rather they roll up a new character. The game should be fun for everyone. If the character is important, I'd just find a way to shift. And then Todd says, they retired the old character because it got rich from a dead uncle, and the player's new character doesn't get any of the cash. And then Andy,
I like that.
Yeah, Andy says, never tie the campaign so tightly to one PC that it falls apart if a player leaves.
I actually completely agree with that, right? And we even, in the Red Star Rising campaign, because we have the Mugda, and the Mugda is pretty important to the thing. We even had a little plan of how we would adjust the Mugda if something happened, and the Mugda was actually to have something having to leave or something like that. So, but there, you know, in the end, if you really are running a long-standing campaign, you can't help but have the 5 or 6 or so characters around the table be pretty intertwined with the tale.
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone does leave, it always leaves a hole. I mean, there's almost no way to avoid it, especially as it runs longer and longer.
Uh-huh. All right, well, let's go ahead and keep rolling on social media as I look at these dice. Some people think that rolling stats in D&D is outdated. I think it builds character. I mean, we've got a lot of like interesting.
Oh, this is a great dad joke.
Yeah, especially given the topic today.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay. So
controversy. This was controversy, cameraman.
Why?
Because even though the story of the location, the actual story of the location is accurate, this is not a true depiction of the location. This is actually the dungeons of Castle Greyhawk. And the location that was noted about this is actually a factual location. But they took the Castle Greyhawk map and said this was a map of the underground facility, which is not true. So.
Okay, well, I didn't know any of that backstory. I just took it because I thought it was funny.
Well, wait, just stop for a second. So then this sparked a whole conversation, and because there's these AI groups that are out there that are just taking images and making up just totally false stuff, kind of like Alphinius Goo is a character of Luke Gygax. Who is Alphinius Goo in real life?
I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to put anything controversial up. I just thought the perspective was interesting.
It's not. And this is a great, I love this little map that they did for the Castle Greyhawk dungeons. Yeah. So, but no, it was definitely controversial.
Okay. We got some fun snail stuff.
Yes, I know.
Charity posted this parkour.
Yes,
It's pretty funny.
I totally laughed.
Julie and Sean found a snail with a book library thing on its back. I don't know. It's really cute.
It's really cute.
It's just really cute. Yeah. Like snails are prevalent. We don't know how prevalent snails are until you start a cult inside a random D&D company. And then suddenly snails are everywhere. Okay. This one was from...
That's Adrian.
Hold on. Yeah, you talk really quickly.
So Adrian is a marvelous artist and, posts every once in a while in our Gooey Den. And this is a pretty serious, appears to me like, a barbarian coming forth with a massive axe and trouble coming for whomever's on the other end of it, as far as I can tell. So, but yes, it's a great image. And this is the kind of stuff that I love, right? Because we have creators posting and writers posting and artists posting, and it's just and then you bring some of the stuff that Christina brings or Kevin brings or Chris brings or whatever, and we've got these wonderful historical things that come in, and it just really makes the Den a place of wonderful creativity that I just admire and love.
Okay, so there's definitely something weird with Twitch. Yeah. Pam texted me, freaked me out. She's like, are y'all okay? And I was like, why? What's going on? So all she's seeing is a Darkenhaven pick. So
do we want to restart?
No, I'm going to ask her to refresh. So, I had noticed that our audience was like half of what it normally is, but I'm going to guess that there's some weird Twitch thing.
You think it's a Twitch problem?
Yeah.
But the people are in the chat.
Yeah, Harry. Yeah, I mean, 30 people are watching us live, and then like, I guess a lot of people aren't seeing us. So
can you put something in the Twitch to refresh your?
Yeah, let me put that in the chat.
Refresh your screen.
You are seeing the chat and not the video.
Hit the refresh button on your browser.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a weird thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Pam's in the chat now. So, okay. Well, anyway,
it's okay. This is our friends who really stick it out.
Yeah. It's not, but yeah, it's not our fault. There's definitely something going on with just like Twitch. I wonder what's going on. So, anyway, okay. This just made me smile.
And they're asking for where the blanket is. And
so, what is Chaosium Con? Is
they have a little convention that they do every year.
That's so fun.
Yeah, all about Cthulhu.
Aw, I love that.
He's so sweet. Where is little Cthulhu?
He's right up there.
Oh yes, little Cthulhu.
He's too far for any of us to grab.
I can't grab him.
Yeah. Well, that's really fun. And it looked like a bunch of our people were there. And I saw Jeff was doing stuff, and it's just like a great time.
Jeff's thing. He does that thing with the wonderful Chaosium people, and what a wonderful little convention. Yeah. Magnificent. I'm not sure about this blanket thing though.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't either.
And I feel like that's one of those things I don't.
We should just leave it.
I don't need to. Yeah. Just keep, Okay. This was a really cute model from Harry.
Yes, a kitsune. I can't remember how it's pronounced. Somebody in the chat can help. But yes, magnificent, right? It was. Now, I thought the fox, did the kitsune have 7 tails or 3 tails, or does anybody really know? Because I don't remember. Anyway, Harry, it's really cool.
In the chat, because I don't know either. He just says that this is inspired by Asian mythology and modern anime.
Nice.
So the 3-tailed fox.
Very cool.
Kitsune. And Randy says 9 tails.
Oh, 9 tails. Okay.
The foxes get more tails as they age. So this is a younger one.
This is a younger kitsune. Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. Thank you, chat.
Yes.
You all are all right with me, no matter what you say about Cameron Mendy every week.
It's fine. Okay. Joseph posted this breakdown of his GM screen.
Yeah, because you know what happened, right? We posted
I posted this picture to show. I only posted the picture of the screen. I blurred him out because it was like, guess who's our community shout out of the week? So I
just gave away the community shout out of we did.
That was last week, but right. I did pull this week.
Okay, but let's stay with that. Stay on topic.
Yes. So anyway, Joe went through and broke down who made the screen. It was a collaboration between Elderwood Academy and Abbott's Hollows Studio as part of a 2021 Kickstarter. And anyway, he broke down like how big it is. It's like the size of the Darkenhaven box. And anyway, great craftsmanship and just like a gorgeous jam screen.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Okay.
Certainly unique and wonderful and interesting and fun.
So speaking of the community shout outs, I actually went and grabbed all the pictures.
So we can shout out everyone. So we did do
yes, that I haven't done so far. And then from now on, I will try and remember to grab the photo of the person who we do the community shout out for.
So chat, this is very important. We expect little golf claps. When we do the community, so you got to do the little golf clap. Yes, golf claps.
Yes.
When we do this. So Joe, of course, is one of our marvelous community shout out persons. And we're going to do this every week, right, Cameron Mendy?
We're going to try. We're going to try our darndest.
Every week.
Try our darndest. Okay.
I think I need to blow my nose.
So then here is Pam.
Hello, Pam.
Who was a community shout out. Our first community shout out was actually two. Because
you shouted out 2.
Yeah, because
so you got to do the double.
They are the Devlin cousins. So there's Neil. And then here's Cade, and they are cousins. And Neil started game mastering for us first. His first convention with us was Gary Con last year. And then quickly, like he learned 5th edition to, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not talking as much about Pam and Joe. I feel like I should go back and redo it.
We're going to go back.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, so Neil came on Gary Con, learned 5th edition, took GM for us. And then full on went hard on Gooey, just loved our stuff, loved GMing for us.
Then roped in his poor cousin.
Yes. And then these two, the thing about them is that they have been really amazing
Mandy, put yourself on so I can blow my nose.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So they have been really amazing about helping with the booth and helping get set up and just helping Lawrence, and they're great game masters and run great games, and they're really gooey and it's been awesome. So anyway, that's why Neil and Cade got their shout out.
Yeah, that was the first shout
I guess I should go back to Pamela.
Absolutely.
Yeah, since I didn't really talk.
Out of order, cameraman.
Everyone knows.
Out of order.
Yes. Pamela's great because, yes, she like spearheaded the whole Gloomport project to get all the contributions and stuff in. She, I mean, has been Gooey for a really long time. I mean, where do I even begin? She's like cosplayed.
Pam has been here for
a long time.
Pam
yeah, like
one of the first
here,
Goos.
I'm gonna turn you back over to you.
One of the first Goos.
One of the very first.
If you were here, Pam.
Yes.
We would have some Johnny Walker
I'm
shots.
really glad that she managed to get on the stream for this part of the anyway, has run online convention for us, has game mastered for us. Like the list is like endless.
And plus she's gonna help out Armando at
Pacificon. Yes.
Run some games out there and get some
and
get some other people.
If you happen to be joining us from like the Bay Area, California, if you're interested in game mastering for us, I put out in the newsletter yesterday. We have a little stipend package, and Pam is organizing all that. You get a free badge, and it's a fun little convention.
It's a wonderful little convention.
So, okay, Joe. Okay, going back to Joe, since I really didn't do a good job talking about them. Joe has game mastered for us for a couple years now. The thing about Joe is that he's like the brightest person in the room. He has the biggest smile, positive attitude. Like the coolest stuff, Shenanigator like snuck a snail into your dungeon during the Great Gooey Dungeon Game Show.
I know,
yeah.
Snuck a snail.
Snuck a snail. Yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Snuck a snail.
Snuck a snail.
Snail sneaking.
Joe adapted the Dungeon of Dunix into a convention module to be played at GaryCon, and we're hoping to take that and get it adapted so that way all the game masters can run the Dungeon of Dunix. We have something new for next year. He's just a great GM and just a ball of light. So, okay, there's Joe. Okay, then this week's community shout out went to Michelle. Michelle has also been with us.
Michelle's like one of the first ever Goos.
Yeah, and I know, just like Pam. Yeah. But she has contributed a ton to the world of Zyathé. She's our biggest cheerleader. She like supports us in many, many, many different ways. I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Just the best.
Cosplayer like you can't believe. I mean, just one.
She sent me the hat of the chicken hats.
That's
right. Or the picture of the chicken hats. The chickens aren't big enough to wear the hats yet, but that'll be great. Anyway, yeah, Michelle is just a phenomenal human being and someone who's like as gooey as they get.
Yes.
So
we are blessed to have Michelle and Pam and Cade and Neil and Joseph.
Yes.
And more that we will be talking about soon. Now, I feel badly, though, because we had such a slow turnout of our normal. So all the people who got the shout-out mentions got done with only a few folks.
I know, but it'll be fine. They'll be up on YouTube forever.
I guess that's true.
Okay. I had one more social media. This thing was creepy.
Yes, this was really
this is Mornwood-esque. This is so good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you even fathom?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway.
Javier Perez, not usually, but many times when I see something like this, I'll look up the artist or whatever, but I didn't look up this artist, but I think I want to do so. Because I just thought, I mean, it's kind of macabre art. Ms. Goo would never have it, but
I would.
I know cameraman. This is why you are type C.
We have
people come into your house and worry about they're going to be mass murdered that night, right?
We have like this life-size like Jack Skellington animatronic thing downstairs, and my little like 3-year-old niece like hates it.
Yeah, of course, freaks her out every
time.
She's
like, it's the skeleton downstairs. Can we put the skeleton away? If I had this in my house, she would never come over. So
yeah, this is something you'd find in the Addams Family mansion.
So good. But I mean, even just like as a story idea, you have this like driftwood, and then suddenly this like thing like creeps out of it.
Comes out of it.
My camera wasn't on, but I did a good.
Like moving like. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, that was social media for today. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Now we have our discussion, which we hope you will all participate in. So.
And you're going to kind of lead it, right, Camera Mindy?
I guess.
I'm going to be the color guy, as they say.
I guess.
Excuse me.
I can do my best. I don't know. Let me put your slideshow up. I mean, the slideshow is, you'll just have to, I don't think I have a slideshow. Do I have a slideshow thing?
What do you mean you don't have a slideshow?
Oh, I do. Hi. Okay.
There you go,
There.
Camera Mindy.
Okay. So creating amazing characters, PCs and NPCs, part 1. So, I don't know why I'm leading this because you put together the slideshow.
Because it goes based on your little discussion, and you had a character sheet you wanted to show, and some other things like that. This will be.
You made fun of the idea. I did not bring a character sheet. You were like, "Oh yeah, that's so
Everyone's
interesting."
Going to love a character sheet. Hey, let's look at a character sheet.
I did not. Okay, I would have done it. I thought it would be interesting to break down. Like,
let's just start
okay.
what we're talking. So
you start.
This is an Etherean monk. And of course, we wanted to take inspirations in our world, right? You remember all this, cameraman, so you should speak to this because you were part of these discussions and the talks that we had.
Yeah, my thing is not so much about like the discussion to me.
Can't you have both of us up at the same time?
No, not on this one. Oh wait, I can. I have that.
Yes.
Look at that!
I knew this existed.
Oh my goodness, it's just been so long.
How come you get the really cool frame, cameraman, and mine's kind of boring?
You're way bigger on the screen than I am.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
okay.
I'm a little larger than you are in real life too. So.
Okay, let me start by asking the chat. When you're creating a character, what do you start with? Do you start with the mechanics? Do you start with what race or class do you want to play? Or do you start with a backstory? So I guess that would be,
So as we're going through the presentation, think about that, because I'm going to tell you how I create NPCs. And Mandy, I think
this isn't about NPCs, this is about PCs.
NPCs.
Okay.
Both.
Yes.
Okay, I just want everyone
I mean,
to
the discussion can be whatever it is.
I just want everyone to understand.
Uh-huh.
I use the same methodology for creating NPCs, if they matter, right, that I would use with a character PC, because they all have to have the same things. They're very important, because especially if they're an antagonist for the party or a protagonist with the party, something like that, you got to have some oomph to them. But anyway, but I opened with this, cameraman, because of our discussion, and this is an Ethereum. Right. And so when we began the process of creating the Ethereum people, which is similar to creating a character, right, we said, what do we want? And you'll see how that stuff as we go through. But anyway, so we wanted the Ethereum people to be inspired by Far Eastern people. And we wanted to have them have an interesting backstory. And of course, the whole blessing of the wind sovereign, and all of the stuff that goes on with the four races, which is really 5, because of course the Sarth had their blessing withdrawn. But anyway, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so I have some interesting comments. So honestly, it seems like the chat is kind of split. So
what are they saying?
Character class and then backstory. I recommend theme first, race class, then backstory. Oh no, dark technology being practiced. I don't know what that means. Probably something happened with my computer. Concept or background. I roll dice and see what kind of class they would be semi-reasonable with. That's interesting. Class, then race, backstory last. So a lot of people do start with like class and race. Like what do I want to play? And then they build a backstory around that. I start with the role. What does the party need? Tank, healer, ranged.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. So that's from Paul. Class, race, backstory. Frank Rip says, I have a general idea of who, what, and where before I start. I always play something that the party or other players need. Yeah. So there's a lot of varying thing.
Well, because I don't know that there's truly a right answer. Right.
I think it depends on how your brain works, because I'm a very creative person. So if I always start with the backstory, I think, first, and then I build out around.
I've known people who start with their miniature. They find a miniature that they really like, and they build the character on the miniature.
Yeah.
I know people who have had artwork. They find an artwork that they like, and they think that represents my character, and they begin in that process. Some people begin with an absolute blank slate. But I do believe this: if you're really trying to have a real campaign, if you're not really just more playing just a lot of roll dice and kill things, right? Which I think most of the people that we talk to now do that. Your father was that guy, just wanted to roll dice and kill things. He didn't really care too much about his character. But as time went on, it became more and more important to him about his character. Which once
you start getting it, it's a lot easier. Because that's the thing. It's like I still don't always understand the mechanics of stuff. Like I still sometimes struggle with like leveling up,
Yes.
and the math side of things. And so, and then especially when you're first starting out and it's like so overwhelming and it's like, oh my God, there's this whole process, which I've heard the new book really helps with. Like the
I mean,
new,
the
yeah,
fact of the matter
2025.
is, it is not sit down and roll a six-sided dice, right?
Yeah.
That is just, and part of that does make the game better,
But I think
but
like
it
a
does
good,
complex it up for people in their beginning.
for a new player, like what I think would be really helpful would be for the game master to say, do you want to play Legolas? Do you want to play Gimli? Do you want to play Harry Potter? Like you could go through and like
Yes.
try and find an archetype that they're familiar with from media.
Yes.
And then that's what we did with my sister. She wanted to play like she was like, I want to be this character. And so we built her like
And you build the
Wanda,
character. Yeah.
Wanda from WandaVision or whatever,
Nice.
yeah. So, anyway, okay. Let's keep going though.
But I do want to say that I
Uh-huh.
do believe that very importantly, the foundation is the story,
Mhm.
because in the end, the story of your character, if the game master is playing this way, the story of your character will become a part of the story that is overarching, right? And so foundational to me is the story, no matter what it is. But it doesn't mean you have to start with you see this. You'll see these slides; they're in order, but they're not necessarily in order.
Mhm.
So, but because you might pick your character, your class, what they're going to be, right, and then build the story totally at the end of all that
Uh-huh.
because your party needed a cleric. Right.
Right.
So this is why this is more of a discussion. So any interesting comments from the chat you want to share?
So Paul says story comes last. I can make a story for any class and race and character. But like, are we talking the story of the character or are we talking the story of the campaign?
The story of the character.
Okay. Yeah.
The character story.
Okay. Sounds good.
So
Yeah. Okay. So oops, I messed that up. Okay. Interesting.
So there's some principles that I do believe
Mhm.
that make character creation that you should impart when you're thinking about character creation. I do think the characters that are more interesting add to the tale better than sort of mundane characters. I have had a few times through the course of our time where somebody just wanted to play just a slummo is what one of them called them. I just want to play a slummo, and they played a slummo for a while. And we tried. I really tried. I did some stuff, but ultimately he got bored of the character, and
yeah, that person was probably exhausted by work. It was like,
I just want to run a slow-mo.
Yeah, and then yeah,
I want to be the guy who carries the bags.
Yeah, I just want to show up, have people fight around me. I do my one thing, and then yeah, oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I agree with you. If you're having like an intriguing storyline, it's hard to not engage with it over time.
Yes, and what I'm excited about this too, about doing this over the next week or two, is I'm going to show a lot of our friends' portraits as we go through the process.
Well, I mean, character art, I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, like even if you don't have your art done through Gooey Cube or another like artist, if you don't have it commissioned, like I know scrolling on Pinterest is a huge, or I mean, Google.
People illustrate their own right in the little windows on the character sheets, right? So yes, that happens a lot.
I mean, I'm sure people now, and use AI probably to create to see what their vision is for a character, which is personal use as long as you're not publishing it, like I don't think there's anything.
To me, it is here. That is, we are not going to put that genie back in the lamp. I just hope people will generally try to do what we do, which is not replace human beings' vocations with a machine that that makes the stuff instead. Yeah, that's my hope.
Yeah. So anyway, but I'm sure like just finding, like to me, like finding this picture of this, okay, this is a strong woman here. I like that she has this bow the way that she does. She has a purple braid. I wonder why I find that appealing. So, I think that kind of helps encompass the spirit and put it in your brain sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, but that was Jen's character, and then I, along with interesting, I think there needs to be some specialness, right? So interesting is sort of one aspect of making an intriguing character, but special is also something that is important. And again, I at my table never have a problem with players having good stats, with players having extra spells, some secret ability, these kinds of things that make their character special, because if it's special to the player, that is going to make them more engaged and enjoy the tale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you laughing at the chat?
Yeah, I'm laughing at the chat.
Yeah.
Harry says, I want to play a character with narcolepsy. That way, when I fall asleep, my character does too. Cassia says, letting the backstory influence the stats can be helpful. Oh, so the family would be farmers. Okay, so...
Wait, can we stop it? That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Letting the backstory influence the stats of the character, absolutely. And that's why I allow people, because if they really want to, I'm not a purist, right? Roll the dice and you live with what you get. Because if someone really wants to play a rogue and the party really needs a rogue, it really doesn't make sense if they roll stats that were very clearly excellent for a wizard.
Right.
Right. And so for me, very much, I am very fluid with stats, very fluid with these various aspects to help make the character not only interesting, but also special for the person who is playing it. Does that make sense? And of course, there's Colt. We put Colt's character up, which is a great portrait.
I have more comments.
We got to bring him in. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah. We don't want Colt on the stream. I make sure all my characters' parents are alive. No background trauma tropes for me. So
okay, that's not fair. Sometimes it's true. It's good. But I agree with you. The plethora of my parents are dead and I was cast into the world stories do kind of, there's a lot of them.
Pretty positive, several in the darkest dream.
Yeah.
Okay. I always believe the characters start off with a simple background. Their real background is the story they create for themselves while adventuring.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That it's kind of fun to not have them necessarily already be powerful characters, but and you can build a more mundane background that still is interesting and special.
I think that okay, there's going to be some players who are going to come with a whole manifesto, yes. A 5-page backstory that they've written in that really fully fleshes out a character. But I actually agree with Scottish Jeff. A lot of my favorite characters started out with 3 paragraphs of something. And then as the story unfolded, I started adding layers of backstory. And then
and if you think about it, they really are starting off their adventuring career.
Yeah.
So now I have had people do, I was in the military for 2 years, right? And came out of the military. I was arrested because I was a street thief, right? And those kind of things make sense when you're talking about a backstory. But kind of coming out and being Captain Marvel right out the gate, sometimes I take umbrage with those kinds of things. Although most of my players don't want that because they actually want to. Most of the players I play with have been playing for a long, long time, and they've kind of gotten past the I got to be super versus I want to be interesting and special have way overtaken I got to be super. If that makes sense.
All right, I'm gonna keep rolling through this, but I'm getting really great comments from the chat.
Make sure you.
I'm gonna. So offbeat. Yes. I agree with this. Something that makes them a little quirky.
Yeah, I think it's fun to be a little offbeat. I'm not saying you have to do it every time, but I think part of our goal with the creation of the new races in the world of Zyathé, which we will continue, by the way. We are not done in any way, shape, or form. The most recent one being the Fey Metals and the Aen Faerie and the fire race, the goodness gracious.
Fermatras?
No.
That's the.
Oh my goodness gracious! Somebody in the chat help me. It's hard to get.
Now I can picture them.
Infernathé.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. Yes.
For something.
The Infernathé. But we are not stopping, right? And I love, and of course, what we have tried to do with the lore of the races is actually help to add to backstories as well. So for the Fazud, right, which we have right here, an example, which is a Sealy Fairy Fazud. Which really is a very interesting and offbeat character just right from there. Got some comments?
I got this really cute one from Purdy Nerdy. My 8-year-old son surprisingly created the most tragic backstory with a wife and kid dead, I think because he thinks it's necessary. As a DM, I have secretly inserted into the campaign an adventure where he will discover his wife and kid are alive to give him a wholesome campaign ending.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the thing is because you really can, and you really can take, so you don't have to make up, because a lot of us don't have time, right? That's why I do myself use published adventures, right? Is I just don't have the time all the time to sit down and craft an entire whole thing. And so, but you really can take published adventures, modify them to fit your purposes in the campaign that you're doing, and then insert these character backstories, these character their wonderful tales that exist for them and really help make a wonderful campaign.
All right, this next comment comes really well with this flawed.
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to look at the stats to influence the backstory. Something like, why does this character have a low dex? Maybe he was in an accident when he was younger and now he has a bit of a limp.
Yes. So I do think flaws are cool, and I think flaws make for characters, and some of them can even be tragic flaws, right? Maybe they are addicted to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they do have a debilitation of their body or something like that, which comes from something terrible that happened, right? But the flaws, if you really think about one of the criticisms of Superman, which is why people say they like Superman not as much as Batman, is because Batman is this flawed and tragic character, which has all kinds of, problems, and Superman is just super, right? And over time, they've sort of added flaws to Superman to make Superman more realistic and more approachable because of the flaws.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, I think this will come as no surprise to anybody in this chat, but I tend to play characters that are like eternally cranky. So they have a lot of snark.
They said that this is why Adam is home crying right now, because you're so mean to him today. Mendy. I'm actually thankful that we don't have a big audience today because of problems with the Twitch, because I don't want everyone to know that you're so mean to poor Adam.
I am not mean to poor Adam. We have a great marriage. We had our 8-year anniversary like 2 nights ago. We went to the melting pot. I ate so much. It was delicious.
Everybody loves the melting pot.
Okay. Anyway, but yes.
But yes, flawed, right?
Yes.
Flawed makes for a great thing. There's Marvelous Corey's original Lokebut, and marvelous, right? And of course, Belinda is a softling, and had her character portrait done relatively recently. Is one of my more favorite of all the ones that we've done for our peoples.
I agree.
And of course, she's got a sling that has nothing but pipes in it.
That's great. So yeah, I totally agree that with all of these things, interesting, special, offbeat, flawed, and marvelous.
Yes.
Okay. Building a great
backstory. So this is Anthony's character, oh goodness gracious. Forgive me if you're watching Anthony. But Anthony wanted to be sort of an emissary from Sundestia to Darkenhaven, to the Republic, right? And so we had a little chat about that and how we're going to do it. And so that basically, he exists in the lore books. And I have a mind to have him perhaps appear in one of the adventures in Darkenhaven when we go forward as we develop adventures, because I think he'd be a great patron for the party, because he's an emissary. He's not actually connected with the government. He's actually connected with the government of, I can't remember which one of the big imperiums that's down there that he's associated with.
Darkenhaven.
If he's in there, if he's in the chat, Anthony, if you're in the chat, tell us. But I can't remember. But anyway, he built a whole backstory around that, and of course we incorporated it into the tale, and of course now we have a wonderful character from Sundestia that we would never have had.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love when we do our custom portraits to see what comes out of the creativity of our community. So in terms of building, building a character's backstory, I just wanted to go through some of the things, at least my process and related to my process. Not fair. This is what. If you read about character creation, this is the kind of stuff you're going to read about, right? The characters, who are they, right? And that goes to a number of different depths. And like, as we've discussed already, you might be inspired by a piece of artwork. You might be inspired by a miniature. You might, there's all kinds of things that you can bring inspiration to sort of create the characters right? And of course, here's marvelous Andrea Arnold. I have a comment from Cassius.
Yes.
You shouldn't add too many flaws to heroes, otherwise they get dragged down to your level. Relatable is the enemy of aspirational.
I actually agree with that. Too many flaws, unless truly that's part of the goal. So we had a character named Flavius Milo, who was a halfling a long time ago, who had I think it was a 3 or a 4 constitution. and he really wanted to play it that way. So Flavius Milo wouldn't be able to climb upstairs sometimes. I mean, there's lots of stuff like that. But it did get to the point where we kind of began to mitigate it a little bit because it kind of started getting in the way of the game. So yeah, you got to be a little careful with flaws. That's a great comment about not having it overtake the fact that you are trying to play sort of heroes of the world and all of that kind of stuff.
All right, really quickly, I'm gonna do two things because we're like 4 minutes out, but we still have the rest of the presentation to go.
Oh, and we can also stop if you wanted to and just continue next week. I mean, there's enough slides to go through. We can do this next week.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed it. If the chat's enjoyed it, I've really enjoyed
it.
Yeah,
we got great engagement from the chat. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and stop it here with the...
Yeah, because we got to do the last entry. This is the last chance to win this week, right? And then,
so I have two. Yes. So it went out in the email yesterday. I did get it out in the email.
And then we got to post it in the den this week,
and on the
Discord
Facebook
this week.
So so we're going to do two things. First off, #pin will enter you to win one of Alphinius victims, the Alphinius victim thing.
From Marvelous Lands.
Which will roll here. So Alphinius's victim.
I don't think you should get one of those unless I actually kill you.
I mean, sometimes you kill my spirit.
Whatever, Cameron. See how snarky and mean she is? Poor Adam, he's home right now going, Cameron Mendy, so mean to me.
I had a question from Scottish Jeff. Is the Great Gooey Gang going to Gamehole Con? So as far as right now, we have Alphinius going, Iad, and Lawrence.
And did we get a booth?
Yes, we have a booth. Well, I'm working on a new dynamic for how we're going to run games at Gamehole. So that's not been released yet. So there'll be potentially some games going on from our great GMs. And Adam and I are considering if we're gonna go out. I'm not sure.
You might as well come along.
I don't know. It's going to be after. It's a long road. Gen Con. You know, I know it's a few months after Gen Con, but it really takes it.
Con, Gamehole Con.
If we can, we are not even into Dragon Con yet.
We might not get in then.
Yeah. Anyway, but Gen Con does.
Are they saying no?
They haven't said no yet, but they haven't said yes yet. And we're still potentially doing PAX Unplugged. Potentially.
I thought we couldn't get in.
They have not sent us a rejection yet, and they sent me another email saying that they were considering us. So
we must be getting cool, Cameron.
Well, we are. Anyway, all that to say, we will see about Gamehole. I'm not sure about if I'm going out for Gamehole, because I don't want to overstretch myself.
Well, just send Adam.
Because then I get cranky.
You get cranky, Cameron Mendy?
Adam has to take his vacation time to go do these conventions.
I know, and he loves it.
He doesn't work for us.
And he loves it.
He does love it.
Yes,
he's very good.
I know. Don't tell me. I don't know. Adam has a great time.
Many times I have been like, babe, you don't need to go if you don't want to. And he's like, no, I want to go.
No, he wants to
in
go.
that exact voice. Okay, anyway. Okay.
So #pin.
Pin, yes. And then #book. Book. And that will get you an entry into win the signed
prototype Tomb of Geisinger. Only 2 of them or 4 of them?
I think they went with 4.
4. I think only 4 of them in the world.
Yes. So, and then those are all manual. So anyways, I'm going to pull this
So for real collectors, that's a real collection. That's a collecting
I'm
pin.
drawing the winner.
Oh, wait, no, we're not drawing it yet.
No, for the pin.
Oh, for the pin. Okay, yes, good.
Harry won. Harry
won the pin?
Yes.
Do another one.
Okay, I'm going to do another one.
Because people think the fix is in.
Wicked Clown
yes,
also
Wicked
won.
Clown. That might be a first win.
No, I think I've sent stuff to Wicked Clown before. I'll draw one more just for.
All right, do one more pin.
Paul Hossletter.
All right,
congratulations. Paul. Okay, so Harry and then Paul. Congratulations, you all. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm sorry for the people who had issues with Twitch this morning. I don't know what's going on.
Do we need to check that and make sure it's not something we did?
No, I know it's not something that we did.
So it has to be a Twitch
It's a Twitch
problem.
thing. Yeah. So
how do you know?
Because it worked for half the people. It worked for a number of people.
But did they have to refresh? Is that what happened? So some people it just worked for.
Yeah, some people it worked for, and others it didn't. Yeah, I know. So
weird.
It is weird.
This was good, chat. Honest, this is fun.
Yes.
Fun to talk about character creation and.
I love these discussions with the chat where we read a bunch of the comments.
I do too.
Get a lot of perspectives.
I just want to make sure the chat likes it because we want to do stuff that people have fun and enjoy.
Just a little mind bud says, "Don't crush Adam's spirit, Camera Mandy."
Thank you. I agree with that. Camera Mandy.
Oh, that's funny. I promise I don't. I don't think.
Oh, you don't think?
I don't know.
Poor Adam.
He says he's happy.
He told me he loves you dearly.
Okay. Anyway.
I don't know why, you grouchy.
Okay.
Grouchy, grumpy.
It's time for us to sign off on that
All right,
note.
we're going to let everybody go. Friends, thank you for joining us. It was magnificent. We'll do a little more on character creation discussions next week. And we got a number of things coming that I'm pretty excited about. We'll have an update next week about where we're printing. We'll tell you all about that. Lawrence might have to fly to a third world country somewhere.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. It's just...
I mean, he's done it before.
No,
he's
yeah,
obviously
well, yes,
been
well,
in
no,
special
no,
forces.
It's like fourth,
so...
that's fourth world.
I don't know why I got all dramatic about that. Like, no, don't send him. Like, he's like, yeah,
No,
he'll be fine.
I think we are going to print in Mexico.
Nice.
So I think we're going to send him to Mexico City. And go down there and make sure everything is copacetic and all of that stuff. So that's what I think we're going to do. It is a lot more than we expected, as you know, Camera Mendy. So
Paul says he'll go with Lawrence.
Paul
and Lawrence on another, what is that, whirlwind adventure? Is that what's Shrek and Donkey
Paul
on?
and Lawrence's whirlwind adventure. I don't want to see any pictures from that. Anyway, no, truly, thank you all so much for your marvelous support and friendship, and we will reprise. I want to reprise the shout outs because we really had. I mean, would you have only 20 or 25 folks watching today?
What reprise? What shout outs?
The shout outs. I want people to see that. I don't want to just be 10.
Here's what I'll do. I'll clip it and then I'll put it in the den.
Okay.
I can cut it out.
That'd be great.
And I'll post it next week in the den, so that way everyone can see it.
Yeah, because I want to give people get a chance to get some love. You don't want technical difficulties.
To be clear, this is in no particular order. So
no, it's not.
So
we're just shouting out.
Yeah,
people,
shouting out people.
And we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah. So hey, y'all are my favorite people.
You out,
y'all are the people who keep me happy every Saturday morning. Just saying.
Interesting.
What?
Just the last thing. So I'm driving in today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of tired. You know how hard I've been working. And I'm driving in, and I'm listening to the music with Babe and all of that stuff. And all of a sudden, I realize I got a smile on my face, and I do. I love Saturday mornings. I mean, I do. I love them.
Aw, shucks. Okay. On that note,
much love, my friends. Go ahead, tell it, cameraman.
May all your adventures be sticky.
Indeed.